Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Deck Detective. In today's episode, we're going to be tackling the strengths and weaknesses of Revengers, one of the best decks we've seen in a while in the Vanguard Zero Global, and it's still going. So, without further ado, please enjoy the episode. Let us begin with the key cards of the Revenger deck, starting off with Blaster Dark Revenger, the poster child. Canvas 2, retire any card on the field. Back row, front row, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, doesn't matter. Blaster Dark Revenger will stab it in the back and get rid of it. This holds the deck together and is what allows you to kill from free when you break ride your Raging Form Dragon. To back Blaster Dark up, we have Tartu. Tartu Canvas 1 to call any grade 1 from your deck to the rearguard circle behind it. This helps calling out and toolboxing out your Masquerades, your Dorins most of the time, or your Dark Bonds if you need that extra card on the field. Speaking of grade 1s, Dorant. Unflips when a Blaster Dark Revenger is called to the same column as it. This card is so key to the mirror match that people will choose to Blaster Dark it instead of your Interceptor just to make sure you don't get those unflips. Why is Dorant so good? It turns Blaster Dark Revenger into effectively a Canvas 1, retire any card. Prior to this, all other cards require to Canvas 2, or have some other activation condition. Up to now in Global, we've only got one other card that can Canvas 1 retire any unit, which is Critic, which requires you to have a new Veil. Now obviously it's normally Canvas 2, but with Dorant makes it Canvas 1, plus 7k booster that scales into a 16k column, which are magic numbers. Now moving on, Mordred Phantom. One of the best cards in the deck because it is now free. Unlike in the TCG where it was Canvas 1, Mordred Phantom is now free. Call any card in your deck, gives it plus 5k. Okay, so any non-grade free card in your deck. This, insanely good. It's a toolbox that enables your cards. What's this? You need a Dorant so you can get that extra retire out. Sure, call a Dorant. Oh, you've got a Canvas to spare. Call a Tartu. Call a Dark Bond. Fill your field for retirement. It's insanely good and it really helps the deck toolbox. And it helps you toolbox for Raging Form Dragon, the main grade 3 for the deck, and the reason why it is so oppressive on top of its already great card advantage options. Retires 3 Revengers from your rearguard to create a copy of itself, and then retires 3 after it attacks to self-ride from hand, hence why it's got a creation effect, and then attack again, drawing 2 cards in the process. Raging Form Dragon is so good because it doesn't have to hit, or it doesn't have to not hit, unlike Dragonite Descendant. So not only can this help you draw into PGs in a clutch moment where you may not even be hitting with the RFD, but if you can draw 2 cards and draw into PGs, you might survive to then kill it next turn. It's insanely good, it's a good finisher, but it can sometimes struggle to kill them from free. So what makes the deck good? Well, first off, it's got consistent field presence with Dark Bond Trumpeter, Tartus, Mordred Phantom. These are cards that all call other cards from the deck for effectively 1 or 2 Galvanists. It's got good deck fin, again because it's creating field presence from Tartu and Mordred. It's got insanely good deck finning, which then means you trigger more, which means you draw more cards, which means you're more likely to see PGs, more likely to survive attacks, and more likely to just draw into more interceptors to keep that defense up. It's a very good deck fitting engine, as well as just increasing power as well. It's got Blaster Dark plus Dorant for 1 Canvas retire, or just to unflip so you can then get that extra Canvas for that Dark Bond Trumpeter for that extra card to retire, or anything else in your deck. Blaster Dark and Dorant stays pretty much like vital to the deck throughout the entirety of the deck's lifespan because of how good it is. It's got a free toolbox break ride with Mordred, you can call out any grade 1 or 2 from your deck for free when you break ride, giving your Vanguard 10k, giving the card it calls 5k. This all makes it scale as well with the power. If you call a grade 2 and call a grade 7k grade 1 behind it, that's a 21k column after the first hit, so regardless of a trigger or not, it's going to hit, which then makes the Vanguard 21k. With a booster that makes it 28, which again scales if it's Raging Form Dragon or Mordred Phantom, scales to 31k. These are all columns are just going to hit regardless of triggers. If you can ignore triggers, that's very good. And obviously the last thing that makes the deck so good and so competitive, even though the deck's been out for months now, it's still one of the best decks in the game, is because of the reselling Vanguard alongside all of these other things. Now reselling Vanguard alone doesn't make a deck good, it doesn't make it meta. It has to have the cards beside it to enable it. Revengers does have that. It has the retirement, it has the field presence. Along all side of that is a Vanguard that restands regardless of it hits or not. All that put together makes it for a tier 1 deck. now the weaknesses of Revengers. They do have some, not many, but they do have some. They are quite reliant on Tartu and Mordred Phantom to keep up the field pressure. You know, Tartu to toolbox out those Dorants, Mordred toolbox out those Blasted Darks to retire an Interceptor, to then unflip the Dorant you called from Tartu the turn before. All these cards combined, they give you so much card and field presence that without them, the deck starts to crumble. You start to lose that consistent tempo that makes the deck so good on top of Raging Form. It can't call cards as much, it can't put out as good scaling columns it could before. It really just crumbled without Tartus and Morges, but thankfully, you know, there aren't that many cards in your deck to draw. You play 4 of all the important cards, you're going to see them. Another weakness of the deck, I found from my extensive experience of playing the deck, it struggles to kill from free in most situations. If your opponent ends their turn with double intercept and you break ride, if we assume you retire 1, right? You retire 1, you have to swing at the other rear guard. Now you've got 3 attacks to the Vanguard. That puts them on exactly 6. Well, unless they have PG, of course, which most people will do, because it's most decks these days play 9 draw, which means they're drawing lots of cards, they're filtering, which means they're going to have a PG. So you're probably not killing from 3. If you're killing from 4, however, you're now pushing 2 PGs with the exact same turn. Or if you have 2 Blasted Darks available to you, that's pushing 2 PGs on that turn. The odds get a lot better when you break ride turn while they're on 4. That does, however, mean you have to enable their deck, which a lot of times can kill you. So you have to make sure you manage your interceptors and your PGs effectively, so that when you put them to 4, you're not going to die. The last weakness of the deck is it's very hard. It struggles a lot against Garmor, Liberator Garmor, which is seeing a lot more play in Global than it did in JP. Now, obviously now it's seeing a lot more play in JP now, because we have Nouvelle and Dauntless Drive, which has taken its sort of step up in the meta, but Garmor has seen play consistently in Global. Like, people in Global sort of recognized the advantage of the deck. Obviously, riding Garmor, protecting it from, you know, Nouvelle Critic, I believe, Blasted Dark Revenger, even the mirror match, Blasted Blade Liberator. Garmor has seen a big scale up in play in Global, which Revenger struggles to out, because it can no longer Blasted Dark Revenger the Interceptors. So you're only getting 2 attacks to the Vanguard, which if you're, you know, damage denying them at 3, that's just not going to kill them. So you need to make sure that you kind of push them early, or sort of manage your hand and interceptors, so that when you put them to 4, you don't die. And killing from 4 is a lot easier than killing from 3. So, here's a list that I play with. It's pretty standardized. Revenger's lists have very little room for innovation. It's pretty standard. The main difference here is a 3rd Darkbond Trumpeter. Darkbond Trumpeter is really good to ride first, because it's very hard to abuse going first. If you go second and ride Darkbond, then they can call a Tartu or any grade 2 and grade 1 and guarantee 2 attacks in, because after a trigger, you'll be 16, and they're grade 2, they're 9k grade 2 plus 7k grade 1 makes 16, so makes magic numbers which can be abused for 2 damage. However, the added advantage of Darkbond being effectively 2 cards in 1 means that it's worth playing 3 of, because you want to see it more often than not. And it's really good to see without Tartu as well, because then you're not having to counterblast 2 to get 3 units, you're only counterblasting 1 to get 2, but then you can call 1 from hand to retire from Raging Form. I just found Darkbond's really good. Another card that is missing from here is the main. I just don't own them. I would definitely be playing the main over the 10k attacker and the 4th Masquerade grade 2. The main's really good. Callous 1, discard any Shadow Paladin, draw 2. It effectively turns 1 Revenger into 2 most of the time, which is just really good. Obviously on Raging Form turns, you're retiring the back row, not the front row, so it doesn't matter that it's not a Revenger, because obviously it'll be the first attack anyway, onto a rear guard most likely. So it's just a really solid card, and if you can get the mains either from the Anniversary Gacha, when this video is being released, or from crafting them, I'd highly recommend it. It's a good bonus to your Revenger lists. So how do I feel that Revenge is going to be stacking up in the future? Well, we are seeing a very steep decrease in its representation in official tournaments in Japan. It's been sort of put out by cards like Nouvelle Dauntless, Chaos Breaker Dragon, even Liberator Garmals with Zenith now have all been out representing Revengers, because while Revengers is still good, I feel like its kill turn is a lot weaker than the other ones. So obviously, CBD doesn't have a kill turn, but it controls the pace of the game to where the opponent only ever has 2 attacks a turn, and that's pretty good. You know, if you limit your opponent to only 2 attacks a turn for the entire game, you're limiting how much they can really do. Nouvelle is just good. It's got good retirement engine with critics as well as Berserk Dragons. Got a good unflip card in Bellicosity Dragon, as well as just Nouvelle in general being a very good card, nullifying triggers. All of these aspects put together just creates a really solid deck that is just more oppressive than Revengers. And Garmor Zenith is just a case of returning heals that then put a retirement on the field. Like, you call a Zenith, never mind, you actually call a Blastblade Liberator, and you actually just retired an Inceptor. Good job. And you put a heal back. So, with all these things combined, as well as just the age of the deck, like, with the way card games are, is the older decks just lose favor more than often than not. So, the fact that Revengers is now 3 months old? 4 months old in Japan? It's pretty old. The fact that it's just old means that it's just losing favor. So, how do I think it's going to stack up with Drag Ruler? I don't think Drag Ruler changes a lot. It just replaces the retire 1 game 5k and a crit card as the heal trigger. It's a good card to ride with full raging form, push them to that 5 damage point, but you need to make sure you can survive their limit break turn, which in Zero, limit break turns more often than not can kill you. So you just got to be able to manage your Inceptors throughout the game and call them at the right times. But that was the deck detective for Revengers. It's a very solid deck. It's all from 1 gacha as well. All you have to do is pull on the binding force of the black rings, and you can pretty much build the entire deck. So you won't get the mains, but the mains not vital to the deck's success. It just makes the deck good. It just makes the deck. It emphasizes the deck's like key benefits. It doesn't enable them. It just enhances them. So, if you're looking to pick up a good mare deck from 1 gacha, I'd highly recommend going for Binding Forces of Black Rings, because not only do you get Link Joker, you also get Revengers. Well, thank you for watching, guys. That was my deck detective on Revengers. What did you think? Let me know in the comment section down below, whether you think I was wrong on some points, or whether you agree with some. Maybe you've got a little bit of a different take on the deck and you'd like to share that as well. You can do so either in the comments or in my Discord, which a link will be in the description below. When I upload this, I will be live, so make sure you check me out on twitch.tv. I also stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes I take a day off, so make sure you join Discord and watch out for my announcements. But make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.